YouTube, what is going on? Crowder here. And if you guys don't know who I am, I'm an ex-Call of Duty World Champion, now the head coach of Atlanta FaZe, and I'm here to give you the best settings for console, and a few things did change with the Season 1.5 Reloaded update. Let's talk about it, let's get into it, and let's give you everything you guys need. And for this console settings video, we're going to go right into what is actually changed, starting off the video hot. And here on your screen, you are going to be seeing the horizontal stick sensitivity and the vertical stick sensitivity have changed. They're not the 1 through 20 system anymore. It is actually going to be the 0.1 to 4.0 system, if I recall correctly. And really quick, this is the chart that they actually announced in the patch notes. And you know, funny enough, with Call of Duty and how spot on they've been with Warzone this year, I'm almost 99% sure that this chart is actually not the correct values that they want it to be. And looking at it even further, a guy named Hexsmith on Twitter, who does a lot of testing, and he obviously has videos and stuff too that you can kind of see here if you want to really go to his Twitter and kind of deep dive through that, kind of shows that the values are not as correct as what Call of Duty said, because they didn't take account for some other stuff. And with these testings, the actual 7.7 sensitivity that you should be playing on is more towards 1.6. But what I would recommend for you guys when we're just talking about sensitivities is kind of going anywhere from 1.6 to 1.8 and kind of just finding what works for you. Again, sensitivity is always going to be personal preference, but yeah, you want to check out those videos more in depth. Everything will be linked in the description below, and you guys can obviously go check some of that stuff out too. But now that you guys kind of know how the sensitivity works and everything, let's talk through all the controller settings, the graphic settings, and everything you guys need to know for Season 1.5. Let's go. So I'm playing controller right now. Of course, we're on PlayStation 5. We play tactical, and when I am playing tactical and a PlayStation 5 controller, I am not playing flipped. I don't like playing flipped with a PS5 controller. It just feels weird. If I was using a PS4 controller, it'd be a lot different, of course, if you're on PC. So no flipped, playing tactical, and the horizontal stick sensitivity that I have been rocking has been 1.6 and 1.6. Now, of course, with that chart that we just talked about, you can kind of, you know, test some stuff out and see what works best for you. Anywhere from 1.6 to 1.8 would be my recommendation. And then everything else is going to be pretty normal here. Now, the dead zone inputs are going to be the most important thing that we talk about in this video outside of the sensitivity. Now, I know I do this in every single video, but I will never stop because it is so important for the new people that are coming to this channel. And first of all, if you're enjoying this kind of content, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. We are almost at 300K on this channel. I appreciate every single last one of you guys. And talking about these dead zones now, you're going to look. If I have my dead zone over here, you can see my left stick. I'm moving it around right now. That's what it's going to look like when I move it. So left stick minimum is going to be this red ring that kind of pops up right here around. If it goes to the default, which is going to be 10, you're going to see a little bit of a red ring around the left stick center. Now, if I hit test dead zones right here and I go to that, basically all this means is my left stick will not start actually moving or registering movement until I get past that threshold of that dead zone right there. So on your minimums, the smaller the minimum of the dead zone, the faster your controller is going to respond, the less delayed it's going to feel, and just overall more responsive for your controller, which is almost what you're going for, depending on stick drift, but we'll get there here in a sec. And that is almost what you're always going for, is more responsiveness. So what we're going to be doing here for the left stick minimum is putting it on anywhere from 0 to 5 is what I would recommend. And when it comes to stick drift, if you have stick drift or your controller is kind of bugged or it's really old or it's a little bit broken, what I would recommend doing is starting from 0 and then going to 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and just keep testing it until you do not have stick drift on your left or the right stick. And then you can kind of find it the best dead zone for you. I like to play on 2 on my console. So 2 left stick is really, really good. The difference between 0 and 2 is not going to be the end of the world either way. So 2 is not that bad. And then the left stick maximum is the only other thing that I'm going to teach you about right now. And it is going to be kind of similar, but a little bit different. And the left stick maximum, if I kind of mess with the left stick maximum, I put it back to the default, which is 99. You saw that red ring kind of got, you know, expanded towards the center, the outside of the circle. Now, if I go to my test stick dead zone and I push all the way to that, basically to get the full maximum speed of my movement or the register of my left stick, I'd have to go all the way to the edge of the controller. If I were to put that lower and I go all the way back down to like anywhere from 75 to 65, you can see that instead of going all the way to the edge of the controller, I just have to go to that part right there, that dead zone. And now I would have my max strafe speed, the max sliding momentum, the max movement. And again, your left stick is always going to activate your aim assist. So your left stick is really important to make sure you're moving as fast as possible, especially in a game like Call of Duty. So the left stick maximum is really basically a very underrated setting that a lot of people don't mess with. I would give you a disclaimer. If you go all the way down to like 43 or 40, your controller is probably going to bug out and it can't really handle that. And then you're just going to be moving and making movements that you don't really want to do at all times. So I think the best balance here is anywhere from 60 to around 75. Anything less than 99 is already a little bit better. So I would do what works for you and just kind of keep it at that. Now for the right stick minimum, with not being able to overclock controllers on PlayStation 5, and it's not as responsive as if you were playing on a PC, I recommend kind of playing on a little bit higher of a right stick minimum on console, but nothing too crazy. I don't know. I just feel like with like the latency, it kind of just feels better on console for me, but it is the same exact purpose on the right stick as it is on the left. So you're going to be controlling recoil, tracking people with your right stick a lot more than your left stick because that's more movement. So you do the same thing, go all the way down to 0, and then really test out like your aim and see if you got any stick drift or weird movements, and then go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can go all the way up to like 6, 7, or 8 with your right stick, especially if you hold the controller really, really tight and like you have like more jerky movements when you're aiming. Sometimes a really responsive right stick is almost probably not good for you. So there is no just copy and paste dead zone that is gonna just make you magically, you know, the best player in the world. I would really recommend testing what is best for you with the method that I just said, and try to keep it below 10 though. I think anywhere, you know, like the 8s, the 9s are starting to get a little bit weird with some of the, you know, maybe your controller's broken if it has stick drift and all of that. But a lot of this is going to be what works best for you when it comes to aiming. Most people though that you're going to see are going to be playing on the lower dead zones like 5, 4, 3, and definitely like 2. Especially on console, people are going to be trying to get the most responsiveness that they can get to, of course, compete with the PC players that we can't even get away from anymore, with you know, the anti-cheat just being insanely terrible right now, and you can't even turn off crossplay. So people are trying to do the best that they can do for that. And then your L2 and R2 dead zones, this is going to be the same thing as when I aim in or when I shoot my weapon. I want that to be as responsive as possible, so I turn these all the way down to 0. If you were getting accidental fires or anything crazy, you can just turn this to 1 right there. Moving over to aiming, this is going to be very easy. I don't change any of my multipliers. If you were to change one multiplier, it would probably be the ADS sensitivity multiplier, and the reason why is basically if you were playing on that 7.7 or now that 1.6 and you have that ADS multiplier, you can kind of, you know, feel that little bit more of a slowdown and lock on when you aim in. Some people like that, some people don't. Really just depends on preference. Some of the best players in the world used to play on 7.7.1 and now it's like 1.61. Some players like to do 7.7.85 or 1.6.85. So you can kind of mess with anything. I would recommend trying either 0.9, 0.85, or 0.8 for your ADS multiplier so you don't slow down too much. And I think that will help most of you guys out watching this video. And then moving on, we're going to go to aiming advanced settings. And right here, this is going to be pretty simple. Some people like to play on linear. Linear is actually a lot better this year than it has been in the past for a lot of people. This is like in the general feeling of Call of Duty. I've tried both of them pretty in depth, and I will say I think dynamic is just better. So dynamic is overall better for me. And now, one thing I will give a disclaimer for you on this video. I have tried gradual. I have tried instant. I think instant is way better. But I have seen some people say that when they play on gradual, it feels a little bit less like you don't lose as much aim assist, and maybe you want to try that. I tried it. I didn't really feel like that, but I will just be honest with you guys. That is what some people in the community are kind of talking about right now. So maybe you want to try out gradual if you're in a slump. Maybe you want to try out instant. I've done both. I definitely think instant right now is the best. If that changes, of course, in the next video, I will tell you guys about that. That will wrap it up for the advanced settings. And then, of course, you want your target and your ADS aim assist on, motion sensitive behavior off, and then, of course, you don't want any of that on too. So then going over to the movement, sprint assist, we're going to have sprint assist all the way here at 0. If you wanted to turn this to 1, if you're getting some weird delay or you believe that, like, you know, the 0 is almost too responsive, you can use your mouse. You can plug in a mouse into your PlayStation and you can kind of set your settings that way too. It is pretty clutch because right now you can really only go from the 50s, but you can actually lower this a little bit lower with a mouse if you really wanted to as well. So you can do that, but either way, that's what we're rocking for the sprint assist right now. No mantle assist, no crouch assist, no corner slicing. I play on hybrid because I like to be able to dive and slide with no delay. If you do not play on hybrid and you do not care about diving, you play on slide only. If you are on tap to slide or tap to dive, you are playing with a significant delay in your movement, and it is hurting you a lot more than you think. And then with that being said, we're going to be going down sprint restore on, sprint maintain sprint on, and then everything else is going to look like this. Movement advanced settings. You want to have your tactical sprint activation on single tap to run. Just in case your tactical sprint is bugging out, instead of having to double tap it, all you have to do is click your left stick in once and you'll get that tactical sprint. Going over to the combat. This is going to be what we're doing with the combat right now. Nothing too crazy. Just going to scroll through this one. Nothing really needs to be explained on this. Combat advanced settings right here. Going to have the prioritize interact. That's going to be important. Sprint cancels reload is going to be off. That is also very important to make your game feel less clunky. And that is what we're rocking. And now that we have all of the controller settings locked in, let's get to the graphic settings. We will definitely have the 120 hertz refresh rate on, of course, if your monitor can handle it. And if your monitor can handle it and for some reason you're not getting it or something is going wrong, you're probably not using an HDMI 2.1 cable or your monitor settings are wrong. And you can definitely look into that. An HDMI 2.1 cable has saved me from basically all the issues I ran into when I first started playing console. even when I had the 2.0 cable, it was just, it was an absolute shit show when I first switched over a while ago. I got HDMI 2.1 cables, especially with the capture card and everything else that I was working with. It was definitely some growing pains to go back to console and get it all worked out. But the HDMI 2.1 cable, especially if you're playing on 4K and a bunch of other stuff, is very important. So make sure that your HDMI cables are HDMI 2.1. And then echo mode preset I have on efficiency. This is all going to be off, 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 and then fidelity cast on. I set that to 90. And this is what the details and textures on the on-demand texture streaming is going to be. Basically, just have it at small and minimal. And now for the view settings. Of course, you're going to see the field of view at 110. This is what I recommend for Warzone players. This is more of a Warzone video. If you play multiplayer or anything of the sort, then I would recommend playing at 100 to 103. And if you were to be in between, 105 is a very good field of view. But the basic way this works is as the field of view gets wider, you have less visual recoil, but your visibility, then the characters are going to be a little bit smaller because you're obviously going to have that fishbowl effect. When you're running around on 120 FOV or the higher the FOV, the faster it makes you look like you're running, you're not actually running faster. Just in general, you have more of a visual scene on the map, which is why it's really good in Warzone. And I think the best balance of both when it comes to keeping aim assist and just being able to see is 110 for Warzone. 105 is a good medium, and then of course anywhere from 103 to 100 for multiplayer only. So whatever you want to do when it comes to that is going to be a lot of preference, but that's just how it works in general. And then if you go to ADS field of view, I play on affected, and then going down over this way, the vehicle field of view is going to be wide. That's not that crazy of a setting, but just to have it on wide. And then you have your first person camera movement. Make sure that is at least at 50. And then inverted flashbangs. I don't like when my screen flashes white. It is just too bright and my eyes go crazy. Hence the glasses that I have on now because I'm getting older and I'm losing my vision. But yeah, don't like getting flashbang. Keeping that on that. And now going over to the audio. For the audio settings, I'm going to keep this as honest as I can. I'm not a huge fan of the state that Warzone's in right now. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I actually think Warzone is at some of the worst it's ever been. It's very, very bad. I don't really enjoy it at the moment. With that being said, a big reason is no matter what audio you use, console, you play on PC, you have the Artist War Tune, all the audios right now, they definitely kind of help. But in general, especially on Urzikstan, the audio is just very, very bad. So no matter what setting you put on right now, it's basically like you're polishing, Artist War always says that you're polishing a turd. It's not very good and you're trying to make up for it. It's just kind of tough. So this is what I have on my console right here. I like to play on Sucker Punch. I bought the enhanced headphone mode. I don't think it did a goddamn thing. I kind of just wasted $20, so you guys don't have to. If you use this headphone mode and you like it, go for it. I mean, it really doesn't matter. It just kind of depends on what you like. And then scrolling through, everything else is just going to be on that. So it's not going to be too crazy. I kind of like the classic hit markers a little bit better as of late too, but it doesn't really matter. And then, yeah, that's going to be everything for the audio settings. And just hopefully they do an update and they actually fix their audio for once, because COD is killing me when it comes to that. But that's besides the point. Going to the last part of this video for your consoles. This is going to be the same thing on Xbox, by the way. So you're not missing anything. I'm just doing the consoles settings here. And then, of course, I'm going to show you some dashboard stuff for your PlayStation and Xbox, as I always do. But yeah, here you are right now. Nothing going to be crazy there. Readability, we're going to go to color customization. You're going to go through this. Enemies, you could put on red, pink. I like to do either green and pink or blue and red. I've been going back and forth. I like them both. And then color filter to both. And then 100 is what I've been rocking. And then if you go to gameplay HUD, we're going to show you that I like to have it on square. The safe area is very important, and the reason the safe area is very important is on the top left of your screen where it says safe area. That is going to be where my minimap is. The wider the safe area gets and the more to the corners of my monitors it goes, the farther I have to look up to the left to see my minimap to then process that information, then they'll look back towards the center of my screen. Your minimap gives you all your information, everything you need to know, where they're shooting, where you're rotating, where the zone is, where the contract is, what buildings are there, and anything else you need to know about it is going to be on that. So a lot of the times when you're centered onto the center of your screen, and you have to look all the way up and then all the way back down. Especially the TV users. That's a big screen that you're playing on. You got to go all the way up and then all the way back down. It's just going to take a long time. So bring the safe area in as much as you can, because that is going to help you be able to get that information and process it. Call of Duty is a game of milliseconds, so I do think that is very underrated. And then as you kind of just go through this, keep it square, keep it rotating, don't turn that on. And then you are good to go for the rest of this. It's not going to be too crazy. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up for the console settings. But now let's show you some stuff on the PlayStation dashboard and the Xbox dashboard to help your console run a little bit better. And then you're going to be on your way to hopefully having some fun with Warzone. It's definitely in a weird spot right now, but hopefully, will eventually get to a point where it's better. I don't know, but yeah, here you go. Okay, so for this really quick, you're gonna go to your screen and video settings in your console dashboard on PlayStation 5. You're gonna go to screen and video. You're gonna go to video output. And you're gonna go down to over here, which is gonna say auto low latency mode on or off. Make sure you have it on if your monitor and or TV has it allowed, because that is going to be very important. And then of course, make sure that the VRR is on as well to help you out. So right now, what I'm currently playing on, I do not need that or anything of the sort. But if you do have this available, make sure this is on. And of course, make sure you hopefully have your 120 hertz output. And then everything else is going to be good. So again, your VRR you want on, and you want your auto low latency mode on as well, if you can. And of course, if you're not using HDMI 2.1 cables, make sure you have those in there as well, because that is also very important for the 4K gamers out there that are watching this video. And then of course, you want to go to your saved data and game app settings, and you want to go to your game presets and just make sure that you have your performance mode on as well. Not resolution mode, not game default. Just make sure you have your game presets on performance mode. That is also going to help your console out a lot too, so make sure that is set to performance mode. And for the Xbox players, of course, you're going to go to your settings on your Xbox. You're going to go over to general. You're going to see TV and display options. You're going to click into this, and then of course, you're going to see general TV and display options. Your resolution, the refresh rate that you're playing on, make sure you double check that's all going according to plan of whatever you're trying to play on, of course. And then you're going to go over to your video modes, and you're going to go see that you can tick off a bunch of these boxes. Make sure that if you're playing on 4K, you would be ticking off the allow 4K. You want to allow 50 hertz. And then if you allow your auto low latency mode on, if you obviously are able to do so, make sure that is checked off. And then your variable refresh rate is going to be on as well. And that should help you a little bit more to have a smoother version of Call of Duty while you were playing. So hopefully this video helps you. Again, like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. If it did in any kind of way. We're almost at 300,000 subs. Thank you guys for being here. I love you guys, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Peace.